Hey, what's up everyone? Jack here. I hope lockdown isn't getting the better of you and that you're all safe out there. Today I want to talk about Underwater, which is the latest film by William Eubank. It's a sci-fi horror that's just been made available on Amazon and iTunes. And the film itself was actually released theatrically in January, so you might have actually already seen it, but I want to talk a little bit about it because it's released on digital now and you can watch it at home, and I think it's actually been slated a little bit unfairly, so it's possibly worth a bit of a revisit. So yeah, in January and February, these are typically like the months during which Hollywood kind of offloads all the stuff that didn't perform so well with test audiences. And the reason a lot of studios do that is that before a film goes into production, there's normally various clauses in place made by A-listers and investors which sort of prevent a film from going straight to on demand, which is sometimes a financially sounder decision for the studios because like releasing straight like theatrically is quite expensive for them, and for the actors it secures kind of a more prominent sort of release. And so yeah, this year Underwater was dumped, so to speak, by 20th Century alongside a number of horrors like Fantasy Island, The Turning, and The Grudge reboot. And getting rid of horror films like that, which are sort of expected to flop, is sort of a well kind of known strategy in the film industry. And this is especially because like it lines up with the Oscars and the Globes, which kind of typically take place during this time, and that's why you sort of rarely see, you know, an Oscar winner coming out in January. I mean, there are exceptions, but on the whole, it's a pretty well-known thing that you don't release your best in January. And I suspect Underwater was released with like these ideas in mind, but I don't think it should be completely written off because I actually had quite a lot of fun with it. So, you know, to get the plot out of the way, it's about a group of researchers that are sort of several miles below sea level, and they're in this facility which is drilling like deep into this marina trench, but things start to become chaotic pretty quickly, and they're forced to sort of journey to these escape pods while being attacked by these like underwater creatures that are kind of preventing them from making a clean exit. And the film itself is really reminiscent of the Alien series, which has clearly been used as sort of a template by the writers. It definitely doesn't like reinvent the wheel, but I don't think at the same time it's sort of claiming to. And I can understand why people are criticising it and saying it's a rip-off, and I legitimately think there's a little bit more to it than that, though. Because the film does look really great, you know, bar a little bit of questionable CGI, but I think it has some really interesting set and lighting choices, and it all kind of aids in making you feel really isolated along with the characters. And you definitely, while watching the film, get a sense that there's this vast exterior of sort of open ocean that surrounds them. And in post-production, they've chosen to highlight these like aquatic like blues and greens, and anything that's kind of remotely vibrant sort of been drained from the image, and everything starts to feel really suppressed and helpless sort of consequently. And this is also like throughout the film you've got like water leaking onto the set and debris constantly kind of cascading on these characters, and you really get a feeling that they're sealed into this kind of inescapable environment. And when all that works in unison, it can actually be really thrilling. And like performance-wise, Kristen Stewart is really watchable in the film. She's definitely mimicking the Ripley character from Alien, but she is a good actor. And like looking back at her career now, she's really used Twilight effectively, and she's kind of put herself front and center in these more sort of interesting indie movies. And yeah, but saying that, the characters, I think, are the overall sort of underlying flaw in the film, and it pretty conventionally has an engineer and a science character and a comic relief character played by TJ Miller and a brave captain. It's all a little obvious, and the film got me thinking about Annihilation a little bit, because that film really sort of effectively develops a team of scientists, each in a unique way that sort of impacts the story a little bit better and reflects sort of the themes that are actually present in the movie. And that's what makes that film markedly better than this one. But the theme of this film is about drilling and fracking. It's only kind of mentioned once by the characters, and then sort of either side in an opening and closing credits. So like its core idea perhaps needs a bit more work, because it is actually interesting and really topical. So yeah, and another issue with the film is sort of the creatures themselves aren't actually that memorable, and it kind of becomes obvious in the final 30 minutes that the budget has been stretched, and which is unfortunate because the film actually works sort of better in its first half when it's more sort of like gravity in it. You know, it focuses on the characters sort of dealing with technological problems going wrong that they're sort of capable of fixing, and I think the threat of water bearing down on them is actually sort of scary enough anyway without this idea for them to sort of, or the need, should I say, for them to have CGI monsters in the film. So yeah, these smaller kind of more intimate sections are kind of more terrifying than this big monster reveal. But you know, saying that, I think it really does hold up still, and I actually had fun and yeah, enjoyed it. I think I've got a little bit of a soft spot for films like this, but it's not going to have a really long shelf life anyway. But yeah, I think it's still better than people have given it credit for. So I'd say check it out when it's on Amazon Prime. But if you're into sci-fi survival films, it's definitely worth checking out more immediately. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about Underwater. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye.